So this next project we've been brought is a beam swap on a J-Red Beetle. Basically what we're going to be doing is replacing the front beam with this adjustable one. We've got this from Heritage VW, specifically for a right-hand drive model. One of the first things we're going to be doing is taking off the petrol tank. So we've got bolts front and rear, pipes, obviously the fuel pipe that runs to the engine, and then we're going to be raising the car up and securely put it on axle stands before we start removing the wheels. So we're now moving inside, and what we've got is a couple of bolts that are located here and here. They're the body bolts. Sometimes they're rusted up, sometimes they do need a little bit of help with heat. We've got as one bolt there for our steering damper. We're going to be taking that off. We're going to leave it attached here, but we are going to be separating this joint link. Sometimes if you find splits or tears in this, you know, it's a good time to replace it. And do remember that small wire is important there, because that's the connection for your horn. So leaving that off will mean that possibly you will have to get into the car if you have forgotten it, or if the horn isn't working. So that's our first point. The other point I will make is that down here, and just about see them somewhere down here, we have the back of the bolts that all the torsion bars in. Luckily on this one they're not protruding, so we're going to be soaking them with penetrating oil anyway. So we've removed the two upper mounting points, disconnected the steering damper, and we've removed the two bolts off that steering joint. Next job is to get the car up in the air. So we're using the centre of the beam as a jacking point, and then once that's up in the air we should better start loosening the beam off itself. So we're now taking the wheels off, and what we've been doing is spraying certain items that we're going to be taking and undoing, penetrating fluid on them. And we're going to be removing upper and bottom ball joint and track rod end. One thing to remember is, if you're going to be taking the front beam off, do remember to take this out. Speedo drive, small clip at the end. What I've done in the past is I've got a piece of masking tape, taken it off, put it on the masking tape, and then put the masking tape in the spare wheel well. At least we're not going to lose it that way. So removing the track rod end is a ball joint splitter, nice and easy. Just hook it over the top, that goes onto the bottom of the ball joint, and then we tighten this nut up at the end. As we tighten it up, it will eventually pop. There we go. So ball joint is now free and off. So we've got freedom on here. We've got steering joints just assembled, and now we're going to be attacking the beam. So taking the beam off, we're going to reduce the weight of the beam by taking off the shock absorber and the arms. That way we've only got the weight of the beam. So we've now split the joints off. So we've got an upper and lower split. We've removed the brake drum and laid it to one side, still connected by the brake fluid pipe, and now we're going to be undoing these two. What we've done is we've removed or slackened the nuts and brought them to the end of the Allen key. This way, if you're in there and you start putting the stress on the Allen key and it starts to split or widen, you know, you're not going to get that Allen key out easily. So by bringing the nut down towards the end, you're holding the end of the Allen key together with the nut. So that's our next job, trying to get that out. We're going to use a, what is that? That looks like an 8. And put that in there with the adapter on, and hopefully with any luck it will come out. There we go. That's fairly easy, that one. And there we go. Now what I did before we used the Allen keys is I used a little screwdriver just to clear out the area. As you can see, there's virtually nothing coming out. So at least that way, when we put the Allen key in, then it's got a good seat there and it's less likely to slip. Now of course we've still got to split these two, but I've done this on the vehicle basically because trying to do this off and on the floor is a bit more difficult. These will probably be, if they won't come undone, they'll probably be cut off and renewed. I'm not sure at the moment, but we're trying to reuse as much as we can of the original car. So our next step is take these two out so we've got them off the ends of the So underneath we've got our 4 big 19mm bolts to take off, and then once they're removed we should be able to take off the front beam. So we've now taken off the front beam. Next point is the steering bolts. I'm going to take all the assembly off this. Important to remember the rubbers for our body mounts, and then once we've done that it's reinstallation of the new beam. So I'm removing the steering box. What we need to know is that there's a little tag on either side. Now if you do buy a left-hand drive beam where you want to convert it to right, then you need to move the mount for the steering damper and move these two lugs into a position over here identical to what it is here, so that it will locate the steering box in the correct position. So once we've got these off, we're now ready just to give this a little tap, and that's the steering box off the beam. So we're now moving on to the assembly of the steering box, and what we've done is we've cleaned up these two surfaces on there and on here on the clamp, so that when we clamp it back onto the front beam it should locate in these two sections here. We've got as tab washers, as bolts, cleaned them up and re-greased them. Obviously we've left all the tie rods on, so we're not adjusting any suspension or alignment. So we're now ready to extract the torsion bars. We just tied these up on this side. This is driver's side, so I put 2 tie wraps on that side. They are free, so we should be able to withdraw them out. And obviously I have taken out the centre pin locators. That will allow it to draw out easily. So they're going to come out, going to re-grease them up, and we're going to insert them in the new beam. So we've now got to the point where we need to remove the seals from the ends. These we can just tap underneath with a small chisel, making sure we don't damage them on both ends. Your top one's smaller, your bottom one's a little bit larger. So all we've done is tapped it underneath and it will come out quite easily. So as I say, one is smaller than the other. You can probably just about see the difference. So once they're out, I don't think there's anything else other than the grease nipples that we need to take out of this beam, because again there's nothing on the new beam. So we're going to be taking them grease nipples out, transferring them over, and then we'll grease it all up once we've assembled it. So we've greased up the top bearings, and if you look down there we can just about see the bush that's down there. What we've used is some grease obviously and a screwdriver, and that will enable us to go further down without fear of losing anything or anything dropping off. That gives us a chance to lobe up the inside bush before insertion. So that's what we've done on this one. So more grips on a toothbrush does the job. So installation of the new seals is quite easy. It's almost a push in. As you can see, it's just off a little bit, just needs a tiny bit of persuasion. Oh, that's not going to do it. You can almost screw them in. In fact, that's a little bit better. Got most of it in this time. Just a little bit of persuasion. Try and get that in. And then top one's the same. There we go. Don't think we're going to damage the seal just by tapping it. Like I say, it's almost in. So we've done all four on that one. So we're going to be greasing up the bearings before we put in the leaves. So that's our next stage, putting the leaves back in. So to allow us to get the beam in place, we're using the jack to support it, and then of course we're putting the bolts back in, tightening them up, not forgetting the two at the top under the tank. So that's the beam almost in place. As you can see, we've now located and fastened our steering up, ensuring that it's not touching anywhere. We've got our steering box on the locating lugs, and we've got both our steering arms fitted. So next up is to put the arms back on. So we've now got the arms on and in place. We've adjusted the front beam so that it make it easier to get the brakes into that area, and then we'll be attaching the track rod end, and then that's this side done. So we've managed to get the track rod end in, upper and lower, so they're in place, and we've just put the shocker on. At the moment, what we've done is we've loosened off the adjusters in the centre to give us a better chance of getting the arms onto the hubs. Now about to tighten the hose up and put the wheels back on, and then once we've done that, we've checked the height, we'll be putting the tank back in. So next job is the adjusters. So we've now fitted the wheels back on the car. As you can see, we've got quite a bit of height there. It may settle as we start to drive, but only time will tell. But we've got adjustability there in case we want to take it any lower. So that about rounds it up for the front beam swap on the Beetle. Took me about half a day because everything came off. We struggled with some pieces, but we made sure that we've cleaned everything up and greased it on the rebuild. So if it does have to come back off, we know we can take it off quite easily. Nothing will be seized up. So as always guys, if you like what you see, if you want to give us that thumbs up, that would be appreciated. I know we're getting up to 100 subscribers now, so the channel is growing. That's thanks to your help. So if you do want to be a subscriber, it will help build the channel. And if there's anything that you'd like to see, VW or bike related, then obviously drop me a comment below and we'll see what we can do. But that about it runs it up for today. So see you next time. Bye for now.